My name is Scott Dysart. I am with SIL in Thailand, serving at the Linguistic Institute at PIAP. I am recording this from home, so if we hear the pitter patter of little feet, that's just because I'm live in the studio audience, as it were. So this presentation is on SIL Transcriber. It's a relatively new piece of software to me. It's intended to facilitate or assist in the oral Bible translation process. Truly, it's intended to be able to take audio translation and put it to text. Historically, we have gone from text and partnered with an organization like Faith Comes by Hearing to get the audio, either like a straight out narration or a dramatized. This kind of turns it around so that we have situations where it's oral first, but then we want to get text. SIL Transcriber is intended to be able to facilitate that. So we're gonna demonstrate to the best as I can how this works. To start with, you can go to, this is the web page for Transcriber. Get some information about it. Transcriber has its own community site. That's a forum, community.scripture.software.sil.org, where you can go, and if you have questions about the software, you can post and they can try to answer. But we're going to go ahead and get started. Should say on the front end that, as with anything else with audio, permissions still matter. So if you intend to record someone with the intention of putting it out on the internet, either in an app or another sort of linguistic purpose, you have to get their permission and you have to record consent. Transcriber itself doesn't have a means for doing that. If you're using other software tools, they may contain it, but if you don't have a way to contain content or consent with your documentation, I suggest that you use another SIL software tool called Saymore for that. Saymore is intended to hold permissions and who's doing what and information about them. And we have some videos on how to get more information about Saymore. All this stuff will be in the YouTube description, but I wanted to throw that out there. So even though it's a new tool and the tool doesn't contain it, we still have to be mindful of permission and consent and make sure people understand what we're doing and what we're going to do with their voice and that we have permission for it. Now, getting that out of the way, we're going to get started in Transcriber itself. Transcriber has two ways of doing it. There is a desktop mode, and then there's an online mode, because Transcriber has the idea of a collaborative team. So while you have the text, the audio by another means, and you're going to transcribe it as in type what you hear, you want to have somebody else review it and look at it. So that's the teamwork aspect of it. Transcriber can facilitate that with this. I'm pulling over the desktop mode just so you can see what it is. We'll actually be using the web mode. But you'll see that the desktop mode, the online mode will look a lot like this. You'll have projects and little big blue things with your projects, and you can see I'm an IT guy who's not descriptive. So this is me testing Transcriber. That was an online, this is a test. So I'm going to pull that out. I just wanted to show that it's there. And now I'm going to get into Transcriber. Feel free, if you go to the website while we're doing this, just to click on the Get Started and have at it yourself. I'm going to click the Get Started to get into the app. Transcriber, and if you're doing a scripture translation, Transcriber can connect with Paratext, and that's the way I'm going to do it. So I'm going to log in with my Paratext account. And the browser remembers my username and password because I'm in this a lot. And now we come to Transcriber itself on the web. Okay, and a quick overview of what you're seeing here. You have works in teams. And again, I'm very descriptive. I just call my team the MSEA experimenters because I'm just experimenting with it. And you can see inside my team, I've got 4 projects: Psalm 1, Psalm 2, and this storying project. And then the blue button here is for adding a new project. Your team can have members. You click on members, and this is where you can invite people in. So right now, excuse me, my team has 1. So if I were to invite somebody else, I can click on invite, and then I can add them, and I give them a role, and then there'd be the projects they're assigned to. I'm just going to hit cancel now. And these are the roles. There's owner, the person, the manager, as this is very descriptive, the editor, and the transcriber. You can have multiple transcribers. You can have multiple editors. But right now I'm a party of one. So I hit the OK button. And then the settings here, this is just settings around the project. It's just giving it the team name. So if I wanted to change this from experimenters to something else, I could do that. I'm not going to bother. And then, so now we get into the meat of it. I'm going to go through the process of adding another project, hit the big blue button. And now you get some options. You have the oral Bible translation, you have storying, oral adaptation, oral drafting for scripture, general transcription, and then a blank project. You can see the Paratext symbol will tell you which projects can sync up to a Paratext project that's already in the registry or local on your computer, but it syncs to the registry. So I'm going to work with oral drafting of scripture, but I wanted to show that these are here. So I've already logged in, invited the team. Okay, new project. Okay, so these transcriber, it can be used with different projects. So basically, so we have another software tool called Adapt It that I'm not going to get into at all. Another that you can use to make an adaptation from one scripture project to another. Oral adaptation kind of facilitates that, and so that basically you just, once you make the transcription and are happy with it, you can copy paste into Adapt It. And oral storying, you can do the same thing with one story. You get the oral story, and then you can transcribe it, then you can copy paste it into one story editor. I'm going to pause here and talk about oral Bible translation. Oral Bible translation has a robust process behind it. So while SIL Transcriber can facilitate oral Bible translation, there's the process of checks and balances that go along with it to make sure you're doing a good job. And while you can use Transcriber for it, the recommended is actually another tool called Render. I'm going to bring up the website here for Render. Render is actually a partner with Faith Comes by Hearing, the Seed Company, and one other. And at the bottom, if you go to renderpartners.com, and at the bottom, there's a 30-minute video that describes how Render works. But it's a basic idea of you, as a person will hear the translation that they're working from, and then they will record themselves, and then there's a process of reviewing it. And then when you come out on the outside, after following the robust process, you get an MP3 file. So, and that can be your oral translation that you can then upload into apps and whatnot. So Transcriber, the way it fits into this is basically going from Render, which creates audio, to putting it into Paratext. So again, we're turning the process on its head, whereas opposed to you, originally we would go from text to audio. Now we're going from audio to text. So in what would, as far as I know today, what would be considered the perfect world, you make the audio using a tool like Render that respects the robust process, get the MP3 file, that's the audio, and then take that audio and then transcribe that audio. So that's how this would work. So this is Render. And if there's interest in it, we can look at that later. But the video is pretty good, giving an overview. And if you've ever worked in a collaborative process, that I can understand it. It's not that complicated. So we're going to go back to Transcriber, and I'm going to do oral drafting for scripture. And the process starts with audio. So if I had a Render file already, I would just click upload audio and then upload the Render files, the MP3 files created with Render. I'm going to click start recording. And this is the recording window. You can kind of almost see how it works just without a description. I'm going to ask for a name. I'm going to call it Psalms 3 book. So again, this is designed for scripture, so it knows the books. I'm gonna do some recordings in Psalms. Get back up here, and this is where I have a momentary brain melt on where the Psalms are located. Give it a language. For this demonstration, I'm doing English. Hit save. And so now I have save the language. Now it's anticipating I'm going to record. And so this little red button here is record. So I'm going to record, and I'm going to record Psalms chapter 10, verses 1 through 3. Okay, here we go. And you notice I don't need to hold the button. Why do you stand afar off, O Lord? Why do you hide in times of trouble? The wicked in his pride persecutes the poor. Let them be caught in the plots which they've devised. For the wicked boasts of his heart's desire. He blesses the greedy and renounces the Lord. Then I'll stop. So that's recording. And I can go back to the beginning and I can listen to it. And you notice I don't need to hold the button. Why do you stand afar off, O Lord? Why do you hide in times of trouble? The wicked in his pride persecutes the poor. Let them be caught in the plots which they've devised. For the wicked boasts of his heart's desire. He blesses the greedy and renounces the Lord. Then I'll stop. All right. So that's my first pass of a recording. I can, if I want to play, if I want to play it back, I can go slower. I can play it faster. You also noticed that I have this bit at the beginning here. If I can, we have to go back to the beginning, hit the play button. And you notice I don't need to hold the button. All right, so that's extra text. I don't want that anymore. So what I can do is I can highlight it. Then I hit this delete button, delete region. It refers to that as region. And now it's gone. I'll go back to the beginning, hit it play. Why do you stand afar off, O Lord? All right, and I don't need to hear it all the way through. And I could remember at this end over here, that was extraneous. I'm going to highlight the region and I'm going to play this. If I remember right, this should play in the region. I'll stop. All right, that plays between the cursors. And I'm going to delete that as well. And if I listen again, you see, this is a toggle, insert or overwrite. So this is either one or the other. Insert means I can put the cursor right here and say I forgot something. I'm going to do something. This is me adding text. So if I was reading and like, oh, I forgot something, you can go back. You can either re-record the entire passage or you can just insert it. Hit the play button. Why do you stand afar off, O Lord? This is me adding text. Why do you hide in time? And this is me deleting text. Or let's say that this, why do you stand afar off, O Lord? I didn't record that right, but everything else is fine. I have the option to overwrite. So now when I record, I'm going to record over that. So I'm going to record it. Why do you stand afar off, O Lord? And now I'll come back to play. Why do you stand afar off, O Lord? Why do you hide in times of trouble? All right, and then I can insert. You can insert some silence here, so adding some space if you want to do that. So, or you can remove. It can add more, add less. So that is the basics of recording audio within Transcriber. So I'm going to click Save. And its project is created. And now it's gonna, while we're waiting, I asked the developers, and the audio here is stored on SIL servers. The servers are provisioned by Amazon using Amazon Web Service. So only people who have access to the data, meaning the transcription and the audio, are the people involved in the project and also the overall transcriber administrators. So that's who owns it. Now, you can see now we're in the Psalms, my Psalms project. I named my file Psalm 3 Wave, reference Psalms part 1. Okay, so I'm going to go to sections and passages. So now I'm in the project. And I kind of wish that when you uploaded audio, it would come over here to begin with, but I think there's a reason for it. You see that this orange thing here, because Transcriber knows scripture, it knows what a reference is, it knows that this isn't right. So it's saying part 1, that's not proper. So I need to change this, and I need to change this to, I believe I wrote, it was chapter 1, verse 1 through 3. And it's expecting the colon and the dash referencing. So then from in here, I can play it again. Why do you stand afar off, O Lord? Why do you hide in times of trouble? The wicked in his pride persecutes the poor. Let them be caught in the plots which they've devised. For the wicked boasts of his heart's desire. He blesses the greedy and renounces the Lord. Okay, and I can also come back to record and re-edit. You see we're back to this file. Load existing. And so if we can say if I didn't want that Psalm 3, I can record it again. I'm at the cancel button. Over here we have actions. There's the team button. So right now, if I had multiple team members, I can say, Scott Dysart is going to be the transcriber. Scott Dysart is also going to be editor. But if ideally, I'd have multiple people on the team. Close. And then you have little icons over here that signify who is who. And if you want to delete the whole thing and start completely over, you can click this button. So now we're ready to transcribe. And that was the pencil button. And waiting. We're waiting for the audio to come. Oh, here we are. So transcribing, you can play the whole thing. Why do you stand afar off, O Lord? Why do you hide in times of trouble? The wicked in his pride persecutes the poor. Let them be caught in the plots which they've devised. For the wicked boasts of his heart's desire. He blesses the greedy and renounces the Lord. Then I just remembered that my reference was wrong. And that would cause problems later on. This is chapter 10 of Psalms. All right, click the save button. Now we're back to transcribe. And that'll matter later. Well, it matters, and you'll see why again in a minute. So now we'll wait for it. So I can either play it the whole way through and then transcribe as I go, or I can highlight a region and hit play. Why do you stand afar off, O Lord? Why do you stand afar off, O Lord? Why do you stand afar off, O Lord? And it just loops. It'll just keep looping. And that's because the loop is on. It's on by default when you set a region. So I can just type, why do you stand off? Why do you stand afar off, O Lord? And then if I like that, if I want to hear it again, I'll turn the loop off for sanity's sake. Why do you, oh, come on. Oh, I guess it assumes that the loop is on. It'll play everything unless the loop is on. Why do you stand afar off, O Lord? That seems right. So now I can come down here to drag a new region, or if I like the length of the region, the highlighting, I can actually drag it left and right. I hit the play button. Why do you hide in times of trouble? Why do you hide in times of trouble? So I guess it goes without saying that transcriber assumes an approved orthography, or it assumes, like I've actually seen people not want to wait on an approved orthography and translate text. I mean, if it's an oral, they may not have an orthography yet. You can transcribe into IPA if you've got a well-defined scheme for doing that. But you have to have a well-defined scheme for typing. So I'm going to drag it again. Make this bigger. The wicked in his pride persecutes the poor. And I am going to cheat to spare you the pain of seeing me type. I've actually got this text in Notepad, Psalms 10, and I'm going to copy and paste. Persecutes the poor. Let them be caught, devised. Control C, and then I'm going to copy and paste. I did through 3. All right, one more here, and then all right. Okay. Oh, I didn't mean that to come up over there. I was trying to pre-stage something. All right. So now let's say I'm pleased with my transcription. I click save, and I click submit. And now the text is ready to review by someone else. I'm going to click I'm saying I'm reviewing it. I'm also a transcriber. I click save. I go through the process of listening to it again, and I like it. Hit save, and then submit. And now it's ready to sync. And this is where it actually syncs into Paratext. So I'm going to click the little 3 icons here and click Paratext integration. It knows that the language of the project is English. So it brings up all of the projects in the registry that I have access to that are in English. And I'm going to use this MSCA example project 4. Now I'm ready to sync. And sync complete. And I close this. And now you can see the done is over here. And I'm going to bring over my Paratext. And you can see I'm in chapter 10 and there's nothing in verse 1. So I'm going to do sync, send, receive this project. And you can now see that it's brought the text in. Note that it's brought it in as a verse bridge. It's grouped it as 1 through 3. And Paratext has, I go back to the other project so you can see it. I'll bring this over here again, sorry. Paratext has kind of followed the formatting. So it's seeing the /P's and this like the carriage returns for P's, and it's assumed verses 1 through 3 as were together. So of course in Paratext, I can break this up as I want and then do all the whole proper process in Paratext. So I'm going to pull this out of the way, and I'm going to, you also have the option to reopen. So if someone says, hey, that wasn't right, even after all your process, you can reopen it and you can resync it. So I'm going to go back to my Psalms project. Come on. This is the one I just did. And I want to add a section. They have a way of importing a spreadsheet. I didn't fully understand that, but it's there. You can copy and paste from a spreadsheet. And it can, if you've got some effort of all your sections, and you can, and you already know what group, how you're going to group the verses that are going to be transcribed, you can go ahead and insert that. But I'm going to add another section here. And as opposed to starting with audio, I'm starting with the transcription. And this is going to be chapter 11. And this is going to be again 1 through 3. And it knows the book Psalm. I could change this will automatically come from the previous row, and it's going to be Psalms. I'll actually change this to Psalms 10. Psalms 10. The name is just a label. It's whatever works for your convenience of understanding and organizing. This would be Psalms 11. Psalm 1 through 3. And then you have the option. Of course, there's no recording. So I'm going to record. And I'm going to record Psalms 11. In the Lord I put my trust. How can you say to my soul, flee as a bird to your mountain? For look, the wicked bend their bow. They make ready their arrows on the string, that they may shoot secretly. And then when okay, that they may shoot secretly at the upright in heart. If the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? And I'm going to go find where I made my mistake and got stuck. For look, the wicked bend their bow. They make ready their arrows on the string, that they may shoot secretly. Actually, I'm going to make this bigger, and I'm actually just going to rewrite the whole thing because that was no good. I'm just going to do overwrite. I'm going to hit record. In the Lord I put my trust. How can you say to my soul, flee as a bird to your mountain? For look, the wicked bend their bow. They make ready their arrow on a string, that they may shoot secretly at the upright in heart. If the foundations aren't destroyed, what can the righteous do? Then I'll play that. In the Lord I put my trust. How can you say to my soul, flee as a bird to your mountain? For look, the wicked bend their bow. They make ready their arrow on a string, that they may shoot secretly at the upright in heart. If the foundations aren't destroyed, what can the righteous do? And now all this is extra down here. Oh, it's recording. Haha. Now all this is extra down here. I'm going to delete that region. I'm going to click save. I'm going to assign teammates. Again, I'm going to assign myself for this demonstration. And I'm going to start transcribing. Now we have an option here to pull transcription from Paratext. So I'm going to click this button, and actually I'm going to show you in my Paratext. Oh, wrong button, wrong one. Here's Paratext. Paratext 11. It has nothing here. So I'm actually going to add some extra text. And then save and do a send receive the project. Okay, send receive is done. I'm going to get Paratext out of the way. And then I'm going to pull transcription from Paratext. So it's going to pull everything that's already in Psalms chapter 11. So you can see that it knows to pull everything from Psalm chapter 11 verses 1 through 3. And you see I've got that. This is extra text already here, and verses 1, verse 2. So I'm going to, I know that's just extra text, so I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to spare you hearing the audio and me typing by copy pasting from my Notepad. All right, I'm going to click submit. You can see the blue bar up there indicates it's doing something. And now it's up for review. And I'm going to show you what the reject button does. You click. So if someone says, takes a look, says, you just copy and paste from something. You can say, that's not quite right. You can click reject. And there's a reason why. You give a reason, like a recording needed. Let's say the audio was bad, or there actually was no audio for some strange reason, or there was some sort of a correction need to be made, or incomplete. Like I can tell you didn't transcribe something. You can click that and hit next, and then it pushes that back, and then the whole process starts over. And hit cancel. There's also an option to add a note. I'm going to put a note. This is a note. And that just sticks with the project. We'll hit save again. Now it's back to reviewing because I made a change, made a note, I guess. And then hit submit. And now it's ready to sync. So I'm going to do the Paratext integration. But it's done, so I can hit the X button. So now I'm going to go into Paratext, bring that over, and file, send receive this project. Okay, you can see that there's a decision is made that Paratext, even though in my transcription I had removed this as extra text, Paratext retains it. That's by design. I'm going to remove it now. And you can see that it put it in the verses in the proper order. 2 and 3, they came along, and you can see that the paragraph mark back here between 3 and 4, paragraph mark between verse 1 and verse 2 have come because I hit an enter key right here. Okay, so that is another example of transcribing into Paratext, or moving the transcription into Paratext after having pulling what's in Paratext in, like the verse marks, especially. That's what I wanted to demonstrate. So that is another way. So I'm going to go back to my project and go back to my Psalms, and I'm going to go look at my run sheet. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go back to audio, add section. This is 12 to 2. I could have uploaded audio this way. All right, so what I guess I should have done was make my section and then click this button here to upload audio. Now I'm going to upload it again, so it's a short. Someone who uses this program every day would know exactly what they're doing. All right, so now, again, now from that point on, it's just the same as before. I can click over here to people, add members, close, and then transcribe. I'm gonna pull it from Paratext because of the verse marks. And it's 1 through 3. I had told it it was chapters 1 through 3, but it's only verses 1 through 3, but it's only 1 and 2. So I'm gonna go back to my project, change this to 1 and 2. That's a mistake on my part. Save. All right, pull from Paratext. Okay, so now it's happy. And again, I want to spare you listening to me over and over again as I type. You do have the option, I'm going to point it out here, that you can put timestamps. So if I want to, it's this part here. Help, Lord, for the godly man ceases, for the faithful disappear from among the sons of men. Help. All right, so I'm gonna, come on. So I put my cursor right here. I put a timestamp. I'm gonna hit save, submit, and then go through the reviewing process, submit again, and it's ready to sync. Paratext registration. Okay, so you can see it's brought in chapter 3. I don't know why it's got the section. Okay, we can take that out if we want, but you see that the timestamp information didn't get passed through. All right, so that is send receive through to Paratext. All right. Okay, so you can, just pointing it out, pull Paratext out of the way. Let's say your group was just moving right along. Open this back up again. I'm going to reopen it. And you realize that actually the text actually did contain verse 3 in here. So what you can do is you can go back to the project. Go back to the project. And then change this transcription to let it just to tell the system that you're using chapter 3. There's an easier way to do that. Let's go back. Let's make this back to 2. So up here, this button, I should have shown this earlier. So if your user that you are has more than one role, you can switch between roles here. So right now I'm in admin. You can see the admin here. I can click on transcribe. Yes, I'm going to save changes. Saving changes. And it brought me back to the admin section. No, sorry, rather, it brought me back to the transcribing section. You can see that even up here. Admin, again, will switch you back. And then if I realize that this should be chapter 3, I click save, or sorry, verse 3, and then go back to transcribe. Oh, busy. I should be patient. And then click transcribe. And now I can add the third verse of text if it's here. All right. So that is nuts and bolts of transcribing audio, scripture audio. We talked about recording audio within recording audio within transcriber. And we talked about transcribing audio. We talked about uploading audio. Those are all for scripture projects. That's again with a view of taking audio that's already generated, either within transcriber or outside of transcriber, like with render preferably, and then importing that in and then transcribing it with a view towards getting it into Paratext. But then you can run Paratext checks on it, and then you can then get digital scripture like a SAB app or in YouVersion or something to that nature. But then along the way, transcriber was realize that you can do other things with it. So here's general transcription. Storing and general transcription work much the same way. Let's say you're recording a story. Someone's telling the village origin story, or a grandma telling a story of way back in the day. If you already have the audio, you can upload it, or you can just click start recording, and then you can record them right there. Start recording, and then this is me demonstrating recording in audio in SIL Transcriber. And again, the controls are much the same. So if I want to re-record it, you can name it demonstration. Language again, to be English. Or I can, ties. How about if I spell tie correctly? Ties in there. It's just pulling from your standard language list. I'm going to go back to English since that's what I'm using for my definition, my explanation, for my demonstration. Font, Keras, it's fine. And then I click save. And now you can see that the controls are just the same. What it's lacking is the import from Paratext, because it's not going to Paratext. It can be anything. So then as you play, and then this is me demonstrating recording, highlight it, play loops on. This is me demonstrating recording. This is me. And we're just going to assume that's there for now, for saving time. I didn't transcribe the whole thing, but hit submit. Submit. Look at it again. With your submit, and then now you have the option to see. You don't have the option to send it to Paratext, but you do have the option to export it. And right now, you can export the project as, come on. Oh, exporting the entire project. That's not what I wanted to do. All right. So you can copy the transcription. And then you pull Notepad up. You can, this is your general transcription. You can paste it. You can always copy. But you can see that it gives information about the project, and this is the actual transcription. This is valuable for if you have a recording that you want to get into something like Flex, in the text and words, or some other thing like Elan. You can then copy paste and put it into there for more analysis. There is actually a way. I've lost track of where it is. There's supposed to be, where'd it go? There's a way to export this to Elan directly. And I'm trying to. I'm sorry, here it is. You can either, I was up here, you can export the entire project, or you can copy. So this copy transcriptions would have been all of the transcriptions in the project. Right now, my project contains one. Here's the option to export to Elan. You click this button, then the option to, this is Elan exporting those, that's, what file is it? It's a EAF file for Elan. Oddly enough, at this moment, it can't export to flex text, but the developers are working on it. But again, you can copy the transcription and paste it into flex text if you want to get it into flex for analysis in there. Before we go, there's something else I wanted to show. I get back here. I'll go back home. So I'm going to go to my Psalms project. An audio. You have the option of downloading the audio. So if actually, probably would have been better to demonstrate it in my demonstration recording. So let's say you have someone and you're recording someone talk the village origin story or something about a bit of the culture. And as it turns out, the only recording you have is what was done in Transcriber, not like in Audacity and then brought in, but it's all that exists is in Transcriber. You can actually download that as WAV file. So you can hit the little download button and come on. and now it's downloading, and it's going to download it, give it the name as your recording name. All right, and then you're free to put it wherever else you want to put it. So the audio that's generated inside Transcriber doesn't stay inside Transcriber. You can get it out and put it elsewhere, like archiving in REAP for those of us who are in SIL. It's something we should do. Okay, I should point out that the titles of your projects are entirely up to you. The scope of your projects are entirely up to you. You can have a project that is the entire Old Testament. You can have a project that's just a book. Really, it depends upon your own needs, whatever works best for your group.